because that's
Is she
you.
frozen? Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, yes, I can.
Good. So there is still something I want to get to you so that we talk on. And before I get back to that, I like Barrister Fruit to react very briefly to what you would have said. And you will tell us again before we get to Dr. Lobati and then move to the next part of this conversation. You have to tell us what were some of those things you did in detail so that we are able to make speculations like we're already doing. Barrister Fruit, briefly react to the historical review and the historical analysis and the diplomatic chances that have been presented by Barrister Ghana.
yes. Thank you very much, buddy. One of the things that worries me is the unpredictability of Trump. Trump is unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do from minute to minute. But one thing I know is that it will be he is one of the most powerful presidents that the United States have had. He's not only won the presidency, the Senate is under his control, and the House is in play. I don't know what is going to happen. If he gets the House, then the power structure has been properly established for him to do what he wants. One of the things that I'm afraid that may happen, Barrister Ghana, I know you may not agree with me, but Trump can repeal the TPS because it's not only Ambazonia that has TPS. There's also Haiti, and you remember what he said about Springfield, Ohio, by eating the dogs or eating the cats and so on and so forth. He may want to repeal the TPS, and if he does, what is going to happen to our people who are already here? If he goes ahead with this so-called mass deportation, what is going to happen to our people? Having said that, I know that Trump is going to have no relationship with NATO. I know that Trump will repudiate NATO, and I know that Trump may not be very good for Ukraine. And having said that, I'm still worried about his unpredictability. I am worried that he can do things that may not be pleasant to Ambazonians. But if you look at the track record of what he did and compare that to what Biden has not done, in fact, Biden has taken the other side, the negative side against Ambazonia, as I just said it a few minutes ago. On the historical part of it, the French are close to America. The reason why they sold Louisiana to America, they gave up Louisiana and took money. That is, I cannot argue with any part of what Dr. Lobati said because it's a sound historical presentation. What I don't agree is, what is it that worries Dr. Lobati to be able to say, let's wait and see? Well, even though I may be worried, but I tend to agree with him about 60% because of the unpredictability of Mr. Trump. If Trump stays Trump and does things his way, like he did in the first term, before he becomes erratic, we would have crossed the Rubicon. Secondly, Trump is a businessman. Let's not forget that. The Gulf of
Yes.
Guinea remains the most lucrative part of the world. 25% of the world's crude oil is found in the Gulf of Guinea. And in that Gulf of Guinea, Ambazonia is sitting on almost 3/4 of it. And if you look at the way the French have occupied the Gulf of Guinea, the various companies that are drilling today, Perenco, Elf, and of course, is China has a part, the Russians have a part. Trump will not want that arrangement to continue because
Yeah.
as a businessman, he will privilege American companies. In order to do that, we may find Trump on the table with us saying, "Look, listen, we will liberate you, but let's talk business." That is what I'm expecting, and that is the how business people behave, including Trump, especially Trump.
So we all agree.
I can understand the reticence of Secretary Mongwa. We are counting our eggs before the hatch. That is a very negative way of looking at what is going to happen. If you look at the tweets of Tibu Nash, they are not just coming from the air. He knows
Yeah.
something.
I wanted to say
He
that.
knows
I'm
some,
happy you brought that up.
he, he knows something. He knows something about what is happening, and that's why he has put out those tweets to let us know that things are not going to be what they are. And I want to say it is God's work. I continue to say that. Maybe God can say, use any devil to liberate his people. Thank you very much.
Well, that's amazing. There, you've touched on something about the Gulf of Guinea, and I know that Dr. Lobati is expert in that analogy, in that analysis. But I want to avoid it a little bit so that it doesn't distract us. There's something I want us to. If I bring Dr. Lobati in to tell us the worth of the Gulf of Guinea, we might not follow the trend right now. So he's going to do that after Barrister Ghana will react on this. Now, Barrister Ghana, I understand that since 2019, or let's say 2018 until now, you've been a very critical member in the petition writing of this government, diplomacy, writing
Hey,
and
Dr. Moore,
doing all. Um, uh,
let me call you
so,
back. I'm on television. Let me call you back.
so I really
Okay.
wish I was able. Okay, your sound is no longer there. So, Mr. Ghana, I'd like you to talk on something. 2019, we understand that the Trump's administration, their involvement was facilitating it. Immediately, Trump left. Bia did boycott it. Immediately, Trump left. That was when Bia boycotted. Let's talk a little bit about the Swiss-led mediation and the influence of the Trump's administration. That's quite important. So that this could help us rehash some things or carve out ways that we could go about our diplomacy. Vice Ghana, please.
Yeah, again, when we look at the Swiss-led talks, um, they had some teeth to them, and this was just the international community giving the Swiss the leverage to be able to create that negotiation forum where uh, Ambazonia and French Cameroon could sit on the table to resolve this matter peacefully. Because whether you like it or not, irrespective of how many French soldiers we kill, I mean, soldiers of French Cameroon, irrespective of how many of them we kill, or how many Ambazonians the genocidal French killed, this is going to end up on the negotiation table. And so the Swiss-led talks were there to facilitate uh, both sides from being able to come to the table and negotiate towards an end to the conflict. And I was um, I was and still I'm a member of ACT, and ACT stands for Ambazonian Coalition Team, and that was the front that was assembled uh, uh, with the contribution of the various groups fighting for of our liberation, to be and including the interim government here to be able to meet, train, facilitate, work with the Swiss, work with HD, and HD was an or is an outside consulting group hired by the Swiss to help train us on tactics of mediation and negotiation so that we could come to that point of being able to negotiate an end to this conflict. But the government in Yaoundé always played catch and lose. They always found a way to promise to be there and not be there. They always found a way to act as if they were part of the Swiss talks, but again, not be part of it. They always found a way to talk from two different mouths in Yaoundé or three different mouths, mostly consigning things to the Prime Minister's office to engage. And when the Prime Minister's office engages and is about to come to the negotiation table, then the Secretary General's office of the presidency says, who gave you the power to commit to be there? We are not there. And so, but as soon as Barrister Frousseau said, as soon as uh, Trump was out and Biden was in, it was fast forward to an exit by the Cameroon government. And again, this was sort of nuanced by COVID. As Trump was coming out, COVID was on the on 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 the uptake or on the incline. And COVID went on for about 2 years, between 2020 and the beginning of 2022. And during that time, not much took place globally in terms of people being able to meet and hammer things out. So, but it comes down to the foundation of the fact that the Biden administration was not consequential when it comes to Africa. It's very important to have a leader in the White House who is very cognizant of what they want to do and who is very consequential in wanting to drive US foreign policy towards a certain goal. And the Trump administration, for the first 4 years that we experienced these issues with Cameroon, the kind of positions they took, the kind of manners in which they put their foot on the ground, again through their ambassador in Yaoundé, through the Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, Thibault Nagy, in this case, and through their presentations in the UN. It was during the Trump administration that the United States, in the expanded Security Council of 15 members here, drafted a resolution against the government in Yaoundé, which I think we had a vote of about 11-4. I think France and Belgium voted against it. China abstained, and China, I think, and one other country abstained. And 11 members of the expanded Security Council voted in favor of Ambazonia. Again, that was during the Trump administration. And it was during the Trump administration also, partly due to our influence. Barrister Funso, you were there in Illinois when we met with some congressmen. And later on, we did meet with Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, who, again, working with the Trump administration, was able to limit or ban arms sales to the Republic of Cameroon there. It was during the Trump administration, again, that this journalist, not journalist, this professor of Cameroonian origin, of French Cameroonian origin, was arrested in Cameroon simply because he taught Ambazonia and took account of what was happening. He was arrested by the Yaoundé regime, and the Trump administration put pressure on Yaoundé to release him as soon as possible, which
That
did
that's
happen.
Patrice in Ghana. That's Patrice in
Patrice
Ghana.
But
Gano. Thank you.
Yeah.
Patrice Gano. So you can see that the Trump administration, in the things that we can identify, was very consequential when it came to the issue of our sovereignty and came to standing against the ills by the Yaoundé regime there. And as Barrister Frousseau said, and echoed by Dr. Lobati, the Biden administration has been very silent. And I'm gonna go ahead and be a little provocative here and say Kamala Harris was a vice president in the Trump administration as a person of African blood. What did she do to be
In the
able to
Biden's
resolve the
administration, you
issue
mean?
of Amazonia? If
In
you look
Biden's
at
Biden's
administration.
Kamala's
administration.
4 years as the vice president, what did she do to influence policy towards Africa in a positive direction? So I'm just going to be a little provocative. I know we are going to come to that on why Trump got elected, but sometimes we clamor for certain people to be in power without looking at the track record of what they have done while they were in those positions to influence the things we think they should have the power and the authority to influence. So